Good evening. Basically, we were each asked to speak about our career, how we got to where we are, and the successes or the things that helped us along the way, and maybe challenges as well. The first thing I'd like to do is specifically thank Linda for the introduction and hosting, and Peter, and as well our sponsors, and CN, and I think everybody should give a big round to CN for sponsoring this event. We often, I found one of the challenges I will mention is getting sponsorship for these types of events, because then frankly they want to know when do the boys get their club. So I think it's good, and it's great to see CN sponsoring such an event. So you can tell from my biography that I have had a diverse background. I did start off in accounting. How I got into this whole gig in supply chain was they asked me when I was in accounting at Canfor to go on a special project for just 2 years. And then that of course evolved into a permanent role, and here I am 20 years later. Back when I was first put on this project, it was a strategic sourcing project. Category management had not come into the fray yet. That wasn't a word anyone was familiar with, except maybe if you worked at Procter & Gamble. They've always had that kind of thing. The people who trained us at that time were consultants, frankly. There wasn't U of C, there wasn't Grant MacEwan, there wasn't Mount Royal, there was none of these programs. If you were going to be trained in the technicalities of strategic sourcing and that type of thing, you needed to go with a consulting firm, frankly. And if you were looking at the technical training available at the time, it was very much on the tactical procurement, how to issue a purchase order. There wasn't the strategic sourcing. So you basically had to hire consultants and learn that way. So I worked side by side with a gentleman by the name of Nick for 2.5 years. He was from Chicago. He flew in every Monday, went back every Thursday, and he basically taught me everything he knew. And he was a godsend, and that is a big lucky point along the way. That's something that was really great. Along the way, you know, I was asked Linda, what should I talk about? I got a few notes, but I'm like, what should I talk about? And she said, well, did you have any luck? And I would say that would be really lucky. One was lucky being asked to go on this special project. Lucky was the people that I was involved with. I've been so lucky for so many of the amazing people in my life along the way. But you have to be open to accept opportunities. So luck is only half of it. You have to be in a situation where the opportunity presents itself. So, you know, work hard, work smart, that kind of thing. But then you have to accept those opportunities. And as a mother of 2 teenage girls, I have passed up opportunities. I did have an opportunity in Petro-Canada to get involved with, what do you call it? Where you travel everywhere with the CEO and talk to shareholders. Thank you. And I couldn't do it because it wasn't about my schedule. It was about, frankly, Ron Brenneman's schedule at the time. If he was ready to go Tuesday, it didn't matter if it was my daughter's birthday, it didn't matter what it was, Tuesday you went. So I had to pass that up because being a mother is incredibly important to me. Other lucky things along the way were I was thrown into certain projects along the way, which ended up being a great benefit to me. I started off, as you know, in the forest industry. From my biography, I was with Canadian Forest Products. Well, the forest industry was brought to its knees, frankly, in the 90s. And so we right-sized, downsized, every kind of sizing you can imagine. I went from a team of 30 down to 3. We went decentralized, centralized, back to decentralized models of procurement and strategic sourcing, and strategic sourcing's in, then it's out. And so all of that, though, taught me a lot. I learned a lot about organizational structure. Do you want a centralized model or a decentralized model or a hybrid? And so I wouldn't trade any of those experiences. They're horrible laying people off. They're horrible going through those ups and downs, but boy, what a toolbox or a toolkit I now have in understanding organizational structure. I also got to go through 3 major mergers in my career where the company I worked for doubled in size each time. 2 in the forest industry, and then, as you heard, the Suncor Petro-Canada merger, which was another huge merger. Mergers are an amazing opportunity for procurement or supply chain people. They're one of the first things, well, they'll always have a merger integration team on procurement or supply chain. because you have to bring all those contracts together. So company A has contracts, company B has contracts, well, whose contract's better? So there's always an opportunity of mergers there, and you'll learn a ton. So if you're ever offered an opportunity to be on a merger integration team, don't pass it up. It's a ton of work, but you will learn a lot, and it's just another huge tool in that toolkit. I talked about right sizing, downsizing. Oh, ERP implementations, which I'm living right now. Huge in supply chain. In Sanjel, we're in the middle of implementing an ERP fully integrated system. Go live May 1st if I survive till then. But it's an amazing opportunity again to learn so much about the organization, the company. And the fact is 50% of the ROI on this project will come from supply chain, but only if we do it right. So if you implement a system, but you don't think about how your business is going to use that system, you aren't going to get your ROI. So the system has to be implemented in a way that it, at a minimum, meets the controls you need in place, but at the best case, it's a system the people in the field or the business want to actually use. Because if you make it difficult, they will find other ways to buy things. And at the end of the day, the invoices will come into accounts payable, and they've completely gone around the whole supply chain group. So you do need to always keep in mind that processes need to be flexible and enable the business. And so if you remember anything tonight, remember that your processes need to enable, not hinder your business. Because as soon as your processes and your controls are so controlling you hinder your business, they will go underground. And you will not have that spend, you won't have the visibility, you won't know who's spending with what, and you just lose all your visibility information, which you need for negotiating your contracts. Standard catalog data cleansing and item masters, that's another thing in ERP world, which I'm also living right now, and I did a project like 15 years ago on data cleansing to get a streamlined catalog. Well, here I am 15 years later and hiring the same supplier I used 15 years ago to do this project again, and it's like, isn't there someone else who can do this? But again, it's amazing to understand the maintenance department and what they need and make sure that you have your catalog in the system with your items so it enables their business, so that they quickly search and find the part they want to buy. Because if you've got a mechanic with gigantic thumbs trying to get on a computer and find a part, and it's not easy for him to find, guess what? He's not going to put it in the system. So another learning about data and that type of thing. Along the way as well, it's been cleaning up parts room store inventory. That was a great learning and having that opportunity. Barcoding, VMI, vending machines in sawmills and pulp mills and gas plants, and it's just been almost repetitive. And in this field, I find I keep doing the same kind of projects, and every time I learn something else, and it's been a great ride. Tonight, the reason I really wanted to come and do this talk tonight is one of my personal passions is gender diversity. And for those of you that know me, you will know that I am a raging feminist, so I'm really thrilled to be here. I will like to point out, though, that we should all look up the word feminist and know that it's not a negative word. That feminism is a very positive word, and I challenge you all to look it up in the dictionary. So to that end, I've been involved with the organization. It was called Women in, gosh, I can't remember what it's called now. Women's Initiative Network Calgary. So all of us that led women's initiatives at our offices, like the CN office or the Suncor office, we all got together and networked, and it was a great organization, and it's kind of fallen on by the wayside, but there's still a lot of great relationships and networks there. I started or reinvigorated the program at Petro-Canada, and I've done a lot of mentoring and gotten involved with the WXN network, and there's a lot of networks out there that I would encourage you to get involved with. One of the big things that Catalyst organization talks about is having sponsors in your career rather than just a mentor. And I would challenge you to find those sponsors, because sponsors are promoting you. Mentors will help you in your career and talk to you, But a sponsor will actually go to someone and say, have you met Siobhan? Like, she should really be considered for that job. So I encourage you to find those sponsors because they will help your career, and they don't need to be women. There's lots of great men and women out there that can sponsor you and help your career. And if you want to go somewhere in supply chain, find someone to help sponsor you get there. Last words. I think I'm probably up to 10 minutes. I love talking about myself. I would say never be the cop. So in the process, and I talked about enabling the business, not hindering the business, don't be the cop. Don't be the one that smacks people and says, you can't do that. Enable the business. Help the business figure out how they're going to buy that thing or man it or inventory that thing or move that thing on transportation. But help the business figure it out within the controls necessary. As soon as your controls cost more than the risk or the loss you're trying to prevent, you're dead in the water. So I'll say that again. As soon as your controls cost more than the risk you're trying to prevent, it's not a good scene. So don't be the cop. Let the accountants do that. And get your hands dirty. Get out there, get your hands dirty, get in the store's inventory, figure it out. And as I said, you'll catch more flies with honey than vinegar. So that's it for me.